All right, hard yarners. Today we are joined by Dystopian Down Under, Rebekah Barnett, whichever one you want to know her as, but investigative journalist. Is that what we're going to call it? Yep, Substack writer. Rebekah
Barnett.
Shit poster
on socials.
We had an incredible conversation. It's been a while since we've had you on. But before we get to what we spoke about, this episode is brought to you by alltradescover.com.au. If you are a tradie, specifically a tradie, we'd like you to hit up All Trades Cover for your insurance. The best thing about them is they've got all the people in the right places. They can give you the right information and they'll let you know where the loopholes are. And to be fair, if you are a tradie and you don't have insurance, you're probably setting yourself up for failure. And
Sounds amazing. I wish I was a tradie.
Yeah, well, thank you for helping our sponsors. That's good. But they're good people. They've been on the podcast a fair few times, John Elliott, and yeah, just tell them we sent you because they're going to be able to present you with all the options. Speaking of presenting you with all the options, if you would like a mortgage or a personal loan, business loan, Crafted Finance, they're going to be able to help you. Do you need a loan for anything at this stage?
Well, I might have to hit them up.
Mate, hit them up.
Seriously considering.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, if you're in the space of buying a house or any sort of loans, they're going to be able to help you. The best thing about them is they present you with all the options. They break it down so it's so easy for you to understand. And he's been on the podcast before talking about the housing market and what's going on in the economy. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that. But best thing about Ted, when he presents you with all the options, he's got a little video, breaks it down. You're just like, oh, okay, I get it. It gets overwhelming for a lot of people. They're also
he does pictures, is what you're saying.
Exactly, with people who learn visually, not auditory. But no,
I just want a little diagram.
No, just show me. Let me see. I want to understand. So they're great, and I love how they break it down. If you pay an extra $50 a week, you're going to save yourself $160,000 over the term of the loan. That sort of stuff that they show you. He's great, he's good, and he's like-minded, a supporter of the podcast, and we'd love it if you support the people who support us. So hit up Crafted Finance. The link to their website is in our show notes, and it's in our bio on Instagram. Crafted Finance, they're the best. But we were joined by Rebekah Barnett of Dystopian Down Under, Substack journalist, and we had a very good conversation today about a lot of things. I don't know if you're going to remember what we chatted about.
We talked about all the controversial things.
Standard.
Like Israel, Gaza. Got to start with that.
Yeah. Yes.
Hate speech laws.
Yep.
Feminism. Has it fucked us?
Yeah.
What else did we talk about? Oh, well, I'm a new mum.
Yeah, well, a lot of childhood stuff, the vaccination programs and or even just the information you're given in regards to your health, the baby's health, how to source that information. Good chat. Yeah, I think this is going to be a favourite from the listeners. So, we won't hold them up any longer. Without further ado, let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
And Cameron Brand.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
Oh, mate, I'm fucking right there with you. There's some water. Oh, you got water anyway.
Thank you. Is yours filtered?
No, it's fucking tap water. I'm sorry.
Remineralized, defluoridated.
Oh, mate, I was doing, what do you call it? What's that water? Ionized? Is it ionized?
Yeah.
Ionized?
I think it is.
I can't remember. Mandy.
And like alkalized.
Alkalized, that's it. Yeah, alkalized. Yeah. So Mandy Nelson was giving it to me, and Mandy's coming on tomorrow actually.
Who's that?
She's my spiritual advisor.
Oh.
No, she's my go-to when it comes to like asking questions about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And she's just a legend. She's just a very kind person. And yeah, she was going away to like South America or something for a while. And she was like, oh, I'm not going to be using this. Do you want to use it while I'm away?
All my alkalized water.
Yeah.
Is it a filter thing that
it's a machine and it does it for you. But as far as I'm aware though, I mean, I enjoyed it and it definitely tasted different and it felt better. I'm not sure what the benefits are, but as far as I'm aware, there's more benefits or there's financially. So the machines, they sort of lose their impact after 3 to 6 months or something like that, or maybe even less. And then you have to replace a certain filter in them, and then that costs quite a lot of money. So it's better to get these pills that just dissolve and do the same thing.
Yep.
Even though it's a consistent, ongoing expense, apparently long term it's better.
Yeah, right.
And more effective.
It'd be good to know what the benefits were.
Yeah, I did. I looked into the benefits when I was having it, and there is ample. And there's a lot of science about it. And a lot of people are pretty set on it. They won't have anything but alkalized water. But
Yeah, I'm aware that it's a big movement. I just got a really itchy nose.
yeah, I had a little tickle on my throat. But how are you dealing with, how are you going with it all? Like last time you won, you were just pregnant.
Yeah.
I think
it was still a secret.
it was still a secret.
And I
Yeah,
think
we didn't
we
even
had
mention it.
Camera. Yeah. I had a shirt. And
Yeah.
don't say anything.
Yeah. Was Delby on last time you were on?
Yeah.
He was,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was.
He's unavailable this morning. Sorry.
Is that because of Fringe season?
Fringe, I think it's just taken his toll on him as well. He's pretty shattered. Like,
I saw he had a few different shows.
Yeah, he does a lot, man.
Yeah.
He does a lot, and and there's an episode I'm banking a few episodes because we're both going to New Zealand in 2 weeks. 2 weeks today.
You're going together.
Well, we're not. We're going to a wedding that's
Okay.
there, and then we're both he's using it as an opportunity to work and do comedy shows.
Yeah.
I'm using it as an opportunity to hike and get around things. And explore, and then I'm going to the F1 on the way home. So that's going to be fun.
Is this a last hurrah trip?
It kind of is, actually.
Yeah, have you not?
Well, we didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking either, so it's going to be my first ever.
So have you
Sober.
announced?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've announced we're
that
having
you're
a kid.
having a baby. Okay.
A baby
so
boy,
Are
yeah.
you not drinking in support?
No, I was the first couple of months because Grace is from the north of England, and they love a drink. But also, that's not to paint Grace as an alcoholic, but when you're used to having a regular drink and whatnot,
Big change.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'll support you for the first few months, and then over Christmas I had a couple of drinks. But I keep saying this is the first time I'll get a chance to be able to do it without someone else twisting my arm. But at the same time, I actually just wanted to have 6 months off, and I've got a big year
prep.
that I've got planned, and I just can't afford to have alcohol ruin a couple of days, make me feel worse long term, and I just feel better not
Do
doing
you
it.
normally drink a lot in one go?
No, well, not lately. No, definitely
Yeah.
not. But it's easy for it to creep back in.
Yeah, that's true actually. We didn't drink when I was pregnant. So Ryan's sober. He just doesn't drink at all ever.
Oh, yeah.
So when I got pregnant, and I don't drink a lot, but obviously I was like, okay, well, we're going none.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll support you.
Yes, I'm an ally.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, but I'm loving it. I started again, like to go the full 6 months. I'm doing from the start of the year till June-ish. And even then, like, I've got no aspirations to drink right now anyway. I went to the Super Bowl yesterday morning with some friends. But like they're all drinking, morning beers. And I was like, that's fine. I had a couple of zero beers. I like the taste of beer still.
I think you get used to it, especially if you exercise your social muscle
Yeah.
and get comfortable with not having it, then you don't need it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I would say I just enjoy it if I have it, but I don't want to ever have a relationship with it where I feel like I'm
need it.
using it or I need it.
Yeah, I've definitely changed that. But what I was saying before, we were talking about Delby, and it's a lot, and he's always on. We actually just did a episode with Lara Schultz that we're going to be releasing while we're over there, and she's the brain mapping that I was talking to you about actually this morning. And you map your brain, and you can see where you've got some things going on. When I did it on the podcast, I had some stuff with regards to concussion. They picked up on, and my auditory learning, considering I host a podcast, is
Not great.
not great.
Interesting.
I learn from what I see.
Yeah.
But there's ways to improve that with the neurostimulation. So they put the rhythms into your brain, and then the brain mimics the rhythm to make it the more regulated rhythm.
Is that linked to, do you know Barbara Arrowsmith Young?
No.
She wrote a book called The Woman Who Changed Her Brain, and it ties in with the whole neuroplasticity thing. And so,
Oh, right.
yeah. And so she would, she talked about, I'm probably going to butcher it, but that you've got all these different areas in your brain that take care of different things.
Yeah.
And you might be very well developed in some areas and very weak in others. And that, so she, I think when she was young, was diagnosed with a learning delay or developmental issues, and sort of just got put to the, with the kids who were slow. You know, back then they didn't really have much in the way of assistance and not a lot of understanding about that. And she discovered herself how to train her brain in the areas in which it was underperforming until she was able to function on a, let's say, normal or what most people's baseline would be level. And then she made a career out of that.
Yeah.
And I was very interested in that because I was academically very strong, but like people have always said to me, for someone who's so smart, you're so dumb. There are pockets of things that I really struggle with, like spatial awareness is something that,
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm
Like clumsy?
Like I'm a klutz. Like I walk into things because I can't judge where my edges are, and I you know, and I struggle also with I'm very dyslexic with like money and time. Yeah. So I can do a maths, like I was good at maths if it was a problem on the paper, but when it comes to real world sort of understanding money and time, I can't, I'll in my head spend the same amount 4 times over and think I'm even, or, you know, like I just can't get my head around it. Yeah. Stuff like that. So I actually went to one of her talks, and I do it with time too. Like I think I can do, and even when I try to work it out, like I just can't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just freeze, and I actually once I went to her talk, it made me think, oh, this must be how the kids who used to just look at the board at school and not get it must have felt.
Yeah.
Because I could never understand why they were just staring at the board and not getting it. I'd be like, why don't you get it? It's there.
Well, some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners. And then what we find out in this podcast we're releasing while we're in New Zealand, which is why I said I'm banking them, is that Delby is exactly what you'd expect. His scores are exactly as you expect. And even the way, it's kind of funny, Lyra's talking about the actual process of doing the brain mapping itself, and you're meant to sit there and not move, keep your eyes closed, and it's quite a process, and there's a clicking of the mouse thing, and so he's trying to figure out patterns instead of just doing it and responding, and he's talking through and he's meant to be silent.
He's just not able to.
Yeah. And this morning I went and did my some brain mapping with my daughter. We're doing some stuff with her for the ASD stuff, and they were like, yeah, he's very chatty, like he doesn't shut off. And so when you guys listen to that episode at home, there's not going to be any surprising results.
I'd love to do that. That sounds really interesting.
It did show that he's like he's developed a comfort in discomfort, which is he feels great. He's always feels good, but his body and his brain suggest he's in a constant state of fight or flight, and that's not good. And it eventually will result in burnout and crashing. So him doing this stuff is going to be, we thought, his quickness and his ability to put things together and his quick wit was because of his ADHD. It's not. That's a skill he still learned.
Just his personality.
Yes. The if anything, being in this state is actually dumbing him down and dulling his quickness.
Churning up energy.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what they said. It's taking too much energy. So by fixing this, he'll actually be quicker, which is, I can't believe that's possible. But and it shows while he's always moving and his discomfort. Lots of people always comment on the podcast while he's like that, and it's like, this is a thing. And it comes down to even potentially the way he was born, like the way you're born, your childbirth, what happens in that.
The actual birth.
The actual birth plays a factor. So I'm very interested. I can't wait for listeners to hear this episode because it's very good. And Delby was very open and vulnerable about everything and how he was feeling and stuff. So it's great. It's good. But a lot of people go through it. It's very good because a lot of people have ADHD or believe they do or have been told they do. So there's a way of actually telling in science if you do or you don't.
Okay.
And you can just measure it in brainwaves.
Oh, super interesting.
Certain parts of your brain turn on, function
I'll
slower.
tune in.
Yes. Yeah. it's a
You've
good one.
sold me.
Yeah. That's coming out on the 26th of February. I've scheduled that for. So I assume it's going to be episode 408.
Ooh,
I don't like to
that's a
assume.
lot of episodes.
Yeah, it is. This is episode 404, I think. But I don't know. I've just made an assumption of how many episodes are going to be in between. I don't know if there's going to be more. So
Do you have like a Jamie, like how Joe Rogan has a Jamie?
yeah,
That's what you need. Jamie, look it up.
Yeah, we've had a few people come in and try. We actually had a Jamie. His name was James, and he came in. He was coming in his own time. He's great, and he's helped with a few things. So he might come back in if he wants. Like it's always open to him. We love him. But once there's a bit more money coming in, I think we'll just actually designate it to whoever's got that role. You're getting
You're gonna
paid,
have
so it's worth
A
it to you.
Jamie role.
Yeah, yeah. But enough about that and Delby's brain and the brain mapping. We have our favourite investigative journalist. That's what I like to call you. Is that what would you call yourself? An investigative
Well, that's
journalist?
the job I was doing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think of myself as a writer,
Okay.
researcher, writer. But yeah, that's what I was doing up until maternity leave.
Yes.
So I guess for anyone who doesn't know me, I've got a little almost 7-month-old baby now.
Yep.
So I've had some time off.
So you haven't been,
Really
because I
nice.
haven't been getting the notifications as much about
No,
Substack.
I've done just a cut. So I was previously publishing mainly on Substack,
Yeah.
obviously. And I took the first 4 months off completely. And then the last few months I've just taken little bits of work with, there's a group called Libernet. They're all about digital rights.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just
Wow.
based in the digital sphere. And I've done a little bit of work with them. They did a big report on Germany, like the situation in Germany with censorship and digital rights. And then they did, because you've probably seen people get arrested in Germany for posting satirical, jokes and
yeah,
and
kind
so on.
of.
That they're as bad as the UK in their own way,
Yeah.
I'd say. And then I did a couple of articles on the hate speech laws that just keep coming in Australia.
Well, you've been you were so good across the COVID era and exposing a lot of that, even post-COVID, what was going on with that. And the hate speech is something that's pretty in your face at the moment. But again, something you were concerned about way before it became the mainstream.
Yeah, I think for me, the right to say what you think has always been something I'm concerned with, because I actually did a communications degree, so I don't have a medical background. So when I got into all the COVID stuff, it wasn't from a medical kind of position that I got into it. It was actually probably for me, it was watching the information environment get very asymmetric. That was when fact checking really took off, and you could get shadow banned and your post could get blacked out. And that was sort of what got me going, what the heck is going on here? This is really unusual. We're more used to it now. And actually, I think I was thinking about it this morning. We've seen just today footage going around of police beating up protesters in Sydney who were protesting the Israeli Prime Minister coming to Australia. President, sorry, thank you. So and we saw obviously that during COVID. I think the people who are on that, let's say, I'm not even going to call them anti-Israel, although I'm sure a lot of them are, but pro-Palestinian protesters and posters on social media are getting censored. They're getting manhandled. They're getting their protests shut down. And I think it's good. It's not good that it's happening, but it's good to see people on other issues and perhaps who weren't sympathetic to the people who wanted free speech over COVID and the right to protest.
Yes.
Seeing that this is actually a problem that can affect all of us if we're on the side of the politically disfavored side.
Yes.
So it's terrible that it's happening, but it's good that people are maybe realizing this isn't just because of some rabid anti-vaxxers. This is actually a problem in our country, and it's just about which way the political winds are blowing.
Yes.
And where you fall in relation to that.
We've often had people come on. Jeff Dye recently was talking about it on the podcast. Do you know who Jeff Dye is? He's a fairly sizable comedian. He's been on Rogan. He's been on trigonometry. Like he does all the big ones. And his specific
hard
spiel,
yarns.
he's done the hard yarns. Fuck yeah, ticking the boxes. So his thoughts echo ours and a lot of other people's. But he's like, I'm not fighting for my right to say what I want about you. I'm fighting for everyone to say anything, because at what point? What if in 10 or 15 years the pendulum swings so far in the opposite direction where you can't post your pro-gay or your pro-lefty or your pro-trans rights or pro-vaccine stuff? Like it might not necessarily ever get to that point. Yeah. What if the political ideology in charge at the time says, "No, you're not allowed to do that anymore"?
And it's not.
Then you're going to be like, "Don't you want the right to be able to say that stuff still?"
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's about which political ideology is even dominant, although that's a factor. But maybe it's useful to see a Labor government that, you know, a lot of its base would want them to acknowledge the Palestinian state, which they did, but for them to then see that, you know, that was a toothless gesture. It didn't really mean anything, because when the rubber hits the road, that these Labor governments are going to allow protests to be shut down. They're going to not let you say what you want to say about that.
Well,
so that speaks to maybe the fact that regardless of which party's in, there's some power dynamics at play that sort of supersede that.
The issue I think you have with those sorts of situations, that situation in particular, is just a lot of people are one or the other. They're like pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel, or they are
Vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas two things can be true. For example, you can be totally against what's happened in Gaza and the way that Israel and the Zionist regime has done what they've done. But then you can also say anti-Semitism against the general population of Jewish people is fucking horrific.
Yep.
It doesn't put me in a camp if I'm pointing out that both sides have their flaws.
It's the same thing that happened in COVID. You can be for everyone's right to get a shot. You can be like, yes, we should all be able to access it, but I'm just against mandates.
Yeah.
And, you know, somehow that got called anti-vax. I think a lot of people who were against mandates initially have probably become anti-vax now that they've looked more into it. But I think a lot of people who were anti-mandate initially were not anti-vax in the least.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens now where people who are protesting for Palestinian determination and against Israel's aggressive incursion and occupation. I mean, they are occupying that territory.
Yeah.
Then they're getting called anti-Israel or anti-Semitic. It's just conflating the terms, really.
Yeah, and it's diluting real problems, because then if you're calling everyone anti-Semitic or you're calling everyone a Nazi or everyone a racist, exactly.
It doesn't mean anything.
You start to, exactly. Yeah. It starts making you feel like, well, everyone's being called that and they're not that. So then when someone who actually is racist or someone who actually is anti-Semitic or is a Nazi gets, like, how are you meant to label them? Like, we're being all painted with the same brush. Anyone who's even to mention immigration policies is called a racist, for example. Like, it's...
Meanwhile, the guy who, you know, one of the guys who did the Bondi attack was known to ASIO and they did nothing.
Exactly.
Oh, he's not a threat. I mean, there's guns in the household, but we still think he's not a threat, you know. And then somehow the answer to that is to speech.
Yeah.
Really? Regulating speech harder?
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe get your intelligence agencies up to speed and improve your policing.
It's and there's implement the laws that you already had in place.
Yeah, and where there are ideologies that are virulently anti-Semitic, address that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many things that just blur lines and then they also get put into a category. I use this example of the heinous act of at the Invasion Day rallies this year.
Which act?
The throwing of the pipe bomb, I think it was. Or
okay.
Yeah.
Like, I only vaguely read headlines.
So there was an Invasion Day rally.
Yep.
Let's change the date. And this guy, 31 years old, throws a homemade bomb into the crowd. It doesn't go off. It didn't work, thankfully. But it's labelled as, rightly so, as a terrorist attack, I guess. But it's also labelled as an attack on Indigenous people.
Okay.
Which I can't say how I know what's going on with that investigation, but this guy was not like just, I hate Aboriginal people.
Why did he do it?
It was a fucking huge, it's a long-term process that's happened to this guy who's been radicalized. He's also on the NDIS. He's also got some issues.
Oh my God. The first guy who got arrested in Victoria under the new hate speech laws against trans people, and he was wanting a trans genocide. When you read into it, he's on the NDIS and he's got like a bajillion mental health issues.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And so
is this, it's like,
it's
and
really
this is why
that you need to look at.
You can't be calling for trans genocide online, but also like.
Yes. Exactly. No, you're dead right. And the issue I see with this is it's the Roger Cook comes out and goes, this is an attack on Indigenous Australians and we need to unite together and whatnot. And as far as I'm aware from everything I've learned, and I'm not saying how I know what's going on, but I'll tell you after how I know, it wasn't just this attack on I hate Aboriginal people. It was
a mentally disturbed individual.
It is someone who was already, he's got no friends.
Okay.
Family really barely keeps in contact. There's a few other things that I won't divulge because it might give away how I know what's going on. But regardless, the issue was that this guy's been radicalized over a series of years of feeling that everything he values is under attack.
Okay.
And like all things, like this is a perfect example. If you have concerns and they're consistently disregarded and you feel unheard
and mislabeled and you feel that the things that you care about and value you get desperate, and sometimes you go to the people who will listen, and unfortunately the people who listen are generally radicalized themselves and put their own hateful rhetoric into the heads of these people who are very easily brainwashed, don't have the intelligence to do this, their deep digging to understand the nuances of what a situation is, and they do a stupid, horrific, horrendous thing like this. And then what it is done, it's used to label everyone who agrees with some of that person's positions.
Exactly. And then there's
terrorists.
Exactly. And so now that will be used as a look at what these people. So if you don't want to
change the date.
Exactly. If you don't want to change the date, you're now
which is very divisive. We're very divisive politicians at the moment. It's sad to me. I hate hearing them speak, and they say that they're all about addressing social division, but it seems to me they're really hell-bent on whipping it up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like a lot of this speech regulation stuff and probably the protest restrictions that we increasingly seem to have here, they always say that it's about ending division and supporting social cohesion. It's like they think that you can legislate social cohesion.
Yeah.
They think that you can sort of put the lid on all of the discontent and the dissent and just hold the lid on, and then when the lid starts bubbling off, they just hold it down harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to explode if you I just think it's got to explode one day if you're just going to keep holding the lid on harder.
Yeah. Well, and people have been pushed into factions of left and right. And now I'm not going to say that one's better than the other. I can say that one side, which is the left, there is one side that is delusional, and their delusion has been entertained. In what
way? I'm sure they'd say the same.
But that's it. One is just fuck. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't mean they're any better or worse. I'm not gonna look. Fuck. There's plenty of ways they're ridiculous. You mean denying
biological reality?
So denying biology, even the. Oh, mate, there's so many things.
Right, okay. I'm so interested to know, in what ways do you think, the nominal left is delusional?
Not that, so you were talking the extreme, obviously, and the extreme right is just as delusional. And so the people who any way lean a little bit to the right or a conservative are now considered extreme far right extremists because they don't agree with the delusion of the left. Now, that doesn't mean me saying that the left is any worse or better than the right.
Well, on the flip side, I think that people with a conservative leaning are very quick to slap out the word woke in the way that people on the left might use anti-vaxxer or bigot.
Correct.
And, you know, that is also a problem,
Exactly.
I think, because it just dehumanizes the person that you're speaking about and it delegitimizes what they're concerned about.
Yeah.
There's usually a grain of truth in it. I mean, except in the most ridiculous examples. And for sure, like, people on the left side are probably more performatively ludicrous.
Yes.
You know, that you can just about guarantee it's, you know, it's a they, them with purple hair. Like, so there's that performative element. But I'm saying this as someone who's reformed woke. So I call myself reformed woke. So I actually find that a lot of the concerns being brought forward, there is a grain of truth. And as there is on the other side, I got coded as very, I guess I got coded as like alt-right during the COVID times because I was against mandates. Yeah. Which I actually thought, you know, from my like artsy friends and whatnot, I was like, isn't it obvious that we're against oh, you're not? Yeah. And I'm being socially you know, there's tension here that I would have thought you'd just so obviously be against mandates.
I would have thought so as well, yeah.
Yeah, I've just lost where I was going with that. This is a thing that happens when you have a baby.
Well,
it's a real thing, baby brain.
Baby brain.
But
the division and the pushing of each in each.
Yeah, I think I've really tried to not use, even though it's fun for a joke. I really try not to use each side's trigger words because I know that some of my friends are equally triggered about the word woke as when I first started getting called an anti-vaxxer behind my back, online, whatever. I was really offended by that, and I was very triggered, and I'd be like, you know, I'd explain myself. I'd be like, no, I'm not, blah, 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 and try to explain what is an anti-vaxxer and what my actual stance was and da-da-da. I mean, now I'm just roll my eyes and I'm like, okay, well, there's obviously going to be no conversation to be had with someone who's calling names.
No, that's right.
But it goes both ways, doesn't it? And it leads this, even though it's funny to say like, oh, you know, woke or whatever. Yeah. It's not, I mean, but this, of course I'm saying this because I wrote a thesis on how we should all be earnestly trying to communicate with each other and listen to each other, and I'm a real idealist in this regard. It's probably why I'm not a comedian, because I can't, you know, I at the end of the day would love to see our culture find a way to talk across aisles a bit more, and not even across aisles, because I don't feel like in Australia we have a clear left and right anyway. No. And there's not even a lot of difference between left and right, certainly as far as establishment parties, which is why we're seeing the Conservative coalition turn to shit and the populist right finally sort of pick up some popularity. Yeah. Because there just are no alternatives in the establishment.
There's none. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Coke and Diet Coke at the moment.
Yeah, we have our, for American listeners, we have almost our version of what they would have considered a Donald Trump, like the character.
Her name's Pauline Hanson.
Yes, she's even redheaded.
She's a redheaded woman of the people. Yeah. She's a fish and chip shop owner.
Yeah.
Or was a fish and chip shop owner. She's got a very ochre accent.
Yeah. And she speaks pretty harsh truths. Sometimes people would say she's quite racist. They'll deem her like, again, very equivalent. She said
things like Australia's at risk of being, did she say swamped by Asians, she said. She told a senator of Pakistani origin to piss off back to Pakistan. Yeah.
If you don't like it.
Yeah, so she's quite, she doesn't hold back. She wore a burqa in Parliament as a stunt. I don't even know why she did that, but why did she do that?
I didn't look into that, but I remember it was a stunt of like what you can wear, like why can't I drape the Australian, I'm assuming it was because she got done for the Australian flag.
Right, so she wasn't allowed to wear the Australian flag in Parliament, so she wore a burqa.
I'm not 100%, but I assume that's why she did it, because it was just after.
Yeah, and she's very rough around the edges, and the media just has a field day with her. But I think
her popularity is soaring.
Yeah, and just maybe because she says some things out loud that people want to hear. Do they want to hear it from that package? Maybe not, but someone needs to say some of these things.
What would you make of her alignment with Gina Reinhardt? I don't know what to think because we're told that anyone in the mining industry and anyone who's rich is a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that to be true because I know some very rich people who are the fucking best people I know, and they're so genuine and so kind, and they got there through hard work. And I'm not saying that's how Gina got there.
Well, she got there through legacy. Obviously her dad.
But
owned.
I don't know. Does that mean she's a dick? I don't know. I don't know enough about her.
I don't know because I don't know her.
Yes.
And is she any different to Twiggy Forrest, who
Correct.
presents as being very progressive, but probably in terms of business is exactly the same?
Whereas,
although I know he's pushing a green steel agenda and whatnot. I don't know how that's going to go for him. I think he's lost a few C-suite executives over it.
I remember was it the netball teams? They were like, we want you to stop doing this. And she's like, fuck you. You don't get my sponsorship money. I don't give a fuck. Like, don't have it. Like, whatever. Just took it.
Yeah.
So there's kind of parts of her that I go, cool, stand up for yourself. Just go, well, fuck you. If you don't want my money, don't have it. Like, but then I know there are things that, and I think Corey White would be good to talk about.
He'd be way more educated on this.
Yeah, I'll talk to Corey.
Save this one for Corey because
Yeah.
I'm not educated on the ins and outs. Like everyone else, I scroll on Instagram and see punters politics, and I'm like, yeah, why don't they pay more tax?
Yeah.
but
then you're like
at the same time, I'm not like a hashtag tax the rich person either. I would probably have a bit more of a nuanced take as I do on most things, but I'm not the best person to talk to on that. I know Gina Reinhardt is conservative, so she's probably going to align somewhat there.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's the thing. Like, even punters politics, like, I get along with him really well, but definitely don't agree with everything that he aligns with. And but I think that's good, talking across the aisles. We get talking about that dialogue, and I think that's what we need a lot more of. And it's being attached to the identity that you've built, or if once your political ideology or your belief systems, no matter what that is, whether it's politics or religion, or once that becomes your identity, and then someone says something against that particular belief system, then instead of it becoming maybe a nuanced chat that you guys can go, oh, I didn't realize that, you take it as an attack on you.
Yeah, I think when you're very secure in yourself, when someone says something that could be offensive, it's an opportunity as a secure person to think, what does that say about you that you think that?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Yeah.
And I think the COVID era was so formative for me in that, because it was a time in my life where it was very socially costly to say out loud the things that I said, which is like, I don't think we should have mandates. I think we should be able to choose, and then starting to question some of the
actual science.
Say like where our premier in WA brought in mandates in January 2022, like the strictest mandates in the world as far as I'm aware, vaccine mandates for listeners who aren't in WA, 2% of our population remained unvaxxed, and everyone over the age of 12 had to have 3 shots if they were going to go on an airplane or cross the border at all.
Very proud to be one of those 2%.
Yeah, same. It was like you had to have balls of steel, because you had to be prepared to lose a job. You couldn't leave the state for an we didn't know how long it was going to last, and he said it was going to last years. I assumed that wasn't going to be the case, but we couldn't go in any public buildings essentially except for a supermarket. Yeah.
And you had to wear a mask in there.
You had to wear a fucking mask. Like, that makes a difference, little paper.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I decided to publicly state my position, because I just thought of it as a public service. I was like, if I don't say it, like, I found that when I opened conversations with people, there were people around who wanted to talk about it. And so you just had to offer them the opportunity, and then they'd be like, well, actually. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. And I also, just from a point of authenticity, just couldn't pretend. Couldn't pretend. So it was very socially costly. I definitely like had a lot of people unfollow me, like my personal thing on social media.
Yeah.
And people related to me differently. Not my core group, but yeah, even in the family, most of our family actually were aligned, but there was some friction there. But it was so freeing, I think, to say like, this is my line. I'm standing on it. I'm not going to be moved on this. Like after I did my inquiry, I was like, am I wrong? Like, am I putting people at danger? I really did research it. I read all the studies and all the guidelines of like, what can I do to make sure that I'm not a risk to other people? And am I being selfish? And I did all that self-inquiry. And then at the end of doing that, decided, no, I believe this is the only thing I can authentically do.
Yeah.
I can't do any different. And then I've really found since that period, which I found traumatic at the time, and I was getting offended and getting upset at being, typecast and whatnot. But after a period of time, once I sort of settled into it, I was like, wow, that was just one of the most freeing things I've ever done. Yeah. Like since then, I just don't really give a shit.
Yeah, you feel bulletproof?
Yeah, I don't care what people think.
I've gone through a couple of those, and the COVID was one of those. We were pretty staunch on that. And then just like a bit more, the other hard one was coming out as as very spiritual.
Okay.
And having that sort of belief in God, or for lack of a better word, God. And those sorts of ideas. Even
when did you come out?
I think only the last couple of, maybe year and a half or so, I've really been vocal about like this deep connection to something bigger than myself. That was a big one. Like, but then
so you just didn't have that in your background?
None of my mates and no one thinks like that or has any. Well, I didn't think they did. And this is the same with COVID. As soon as you say it, a lot of people go, yeah. Like, I don't know how many people came up to me, and I've used this as an example. Like when I go to my daughter's swimming lessons, and then you'll get like a mum come up to me every second week. Just want to let you know, like what you were doing during COVID. It was I needed that, you know? And you just don't realize this is so much more people think like you than you realize. And you have no idea who's listening, who's resonating, and who needed to hear that. If it's that one person who goes,
just needed to know else. It wasn't just them.
Yes.
Yeah, because I do remember that. It's interesting that you say that the guy who threw the pipe bomb just was so isolated.
Yes.
I think it's really bad for the human psyche.
Isn't it?
To feel like no one understands and they're alone in something.
Well, these people don't like, and he's an example, but this is so common. This is where we're seeing it. This is why silencing people and the speech laws are not going to help. Social cohesion. They're going to create resentment and pockets of division that make it worse. They will.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's by design. Like, you can't be that stupid. Surely you understand the psyche. Surely you understand that by stopping people from being able to openly talk across the aisle is actually going to make things worse.
Yeah, I totally understand why some people angle towards the idea that there's a master plan. And, all the countries are converging on, digital control and, kind of becoming like a digital prison. And because it looks like that's what's happening. And a lot of it doesn't make sense, but governments seem to have been doing stuff that don't make sense for the longest.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe they are idiots. Yeah. Are they?
I don't know. Like, I feel like some of it might be bureaucratic inertia where once a bad idea takes hold, it's really hard to turn course. Like, I don't think governments are agile.
Because that would mean accountability for making a wrong decision and having a correct course.
And, like, they're just too big to sort of like, okay, so here's a example. I've just found out that there's research to indicate that babies given cow's milk formula in the first week of their life, or 3 days or something, but let's say first week, are up to 11 times more likely to manifest food allergies as toddlers, up to 7 times more likely to have a cow's milk allergy, up to I can't remember how many times more for peanuts, but peanut allergies. So I was going to have a home birth, and didn't go according to plan.
Yeah, things.
People used to say, what's your plan? And I was like, well, God willing,
Yeah.
we'll have a home birth, but knowing that you can't control any of that. Anyway, I ended up in hospital. So I was in hospital for 10 days and it was pretty full on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't at all what I wanted, but I had a good doula and we salvaged as much of it as we could.
Cool.
And there are certainly some things that went, it was the best case scenario it was like a choice between shitty option and slightly less shitty option. We did the slightly less shitty option. But anyway, I was in hospital for a full week after she was born and she was small.
Mm-hmm.
And so the midwives, I was completely out of it because I had to get rushed off actually to surgery. I lost a ton of blood. And
Oh, no.
yeah, it was full on. And so the first night, I was completely out of it. I couldn't even sit up. I couldn't talk properly. So the midwife took Poppy away and looked after her, which was lovely. But they said, we're going to give her some formula. Like that, I think they have to tell you and get your permission. But at that point, so much had happened and I just had to give up on my ideals in so many areas. And I was just like, okay. Like I thought, well, I'll just stop. I'll just cut it when we get home.
Because you're exhausted.
It was just like I didn't genuinely, like I couldn't get my laptop out and do some research in the moment of like, what are the side effects of that? And will she be fine with just colostrum or do we really need to, the midwife's telling me we need to supplement her because she's small and because you've just been through this traumatic thing, you may not produce enough, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Now, as it turned out, I actually didn't have the problems producing milk and whatnot that they anticipated. They were really surprised that it actually all went fine.
Yeah.
But it does happen to a lot of women that if they have a traumatic sort of birth and end up going to surgery or whatever, their body just doesn't sort of jumpstart the milk production. So, I'm just lying there like, okay, if that's what you got to do and thinking we'll just take her off it when we get home. Well, we got home, we took her off the formula, but within at about the 3-week mark, she started manifesting outrageous colic, like so bad. And by colic, I just mean like scream crying for hours, gasp, like rock hard little belly. And it was horrific, like just screaming. It just never stopped. Yeah. And then it took me a couple of weeks of troubleshooting, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And I finally figured out it might be dairy. So I stopped eating dairy.
Yep.
And sure enough, the colic vanished.
Yeah.
So, and then when I've accidentally had a little bit of dairy in the last few months, she just instantly scream cries for days. Yep. So my baby appears to have a cow's milk. Well, not just, goats as well, because I tried that. Yeah. A milk protein. I don't know if it's allergy, intolerance, whatever it is. And then I read this research that's just, kind of coming to the fore at the moment of like, oh, well, if you give a baby cow's milk formula, actually they're way more likely to and I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Are you kidding me?
So they didn't even warn you. They didn't give you
and they've probably got no idea.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying about the bureaucratic inertia. Like how many you got to do, like these studies are, the UWA's doing one at the moment that's building on there's a Japanese study that's talking about the cow's milk allergy. Then there's this UWA study that's building on that with peanut allergies. And so, these cohorts are like 300 and something babies, 600 and something babies. They're not huge. So then you're going to have to do like bigger studies and then you're going to have to keep building until we've got a body of literature.
Yeah.
Then the hospital will be like, well, maybe we should, start to review. And this is going to take 5-10 years?
Yeah.
Then you got to filter that down to the midwives who for the last 10 years have been supplementing with formula. And I read the press release, it said that 1 in 2 babies is formula fed in the first week in WA hospitals. So it's a cultural thing. Apparently globally it's like 1 in 3, but WA has a real culture of 1 in 2. So how long is it going to take to change that culture?
Yeah.
Based on, it's going to take 10 years for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
I'm sorry, are you suggesting that studies should take 10 years to prove their safety or whether they're valid or not?
Yeah, that's yeah. So that's what I mean about like once something's sort of embedded in a bureaucracy in a system, it's really hard to turn the ship around they're not agile
Yeah.
in that way.
So less of a conspiracy and more of a we've made the wrong choice, whether or not that's to benefit.
And that's not to
corporate
say
interests
some babies might have actually needed medically more. A supplementation, and like, do they have time to read off every? Well, actually, to be fair, I didn't do an iron infusion in hospital. They recommended it, but when they read me the list of all the things that can happen if you do one, I was like, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to go home and take some tablets. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
So if they'd done that for me with formula, I might have said, let's just give it a couple of nights and see how we go. That's probably what I would have said.
Yeah.
And obviously, I can't say for sure that that's what caused Poppy's intolerance, but it's just interesting, isn't it?
No, I 1,000,000% on board with that. Like, and again, you're taking away the nuance of if I was to clip that up and then leave out a little bit where you go, that's not to say that it doesn't help some people and some people are required. Like people just fall into camps of like, as soon as you say a vaccine could have potentially caused an injury or the formula could have caused this allergy in my child or whatever, they're like, well, are you suggesting that because I did it, I've potentially caused this in my child? Like, that's how they take it. And it's like, no, I'm just telling you that what's happened to me
my
is
experience and what the research shows.
And then those same people are like, believe they'll be all in on, for example, abortion rights, freedom of choice, bodily autonomy, and then with the COVID vaccine, there'll be complete ironic switch and be like, no, you got to do it because you're endangering everyone else. And it seems like everyone falls into camps and they don't appreciate the irony in both their stances. But again, like also what I was getting at before as well in regards to the camps and the left and the right or religious, whatever ideology, the camps that we sort of fall into. I said the other day and I put up a post and got a little bit of heat from some people.
For what?
I put up a post saying that left, right, we all want the same thing in the end. And they're like,
I've
no.
I've been saying that forever.
Yes.
I agree.
Exactly. So
we just have different ideas about how to get there.
Thank you.
That's what you said.
That's exactly. We just disagree on the pathway there. So there, people were in the comments who were saying, no, we don't want the same thing as the left, or we don't want the same thing as the right.
We have different values, but ultimately everyone
the same thing
wants their children to be well and happy, and they want to feel secure, and they want to feel like everyone's going to be looked after.
Yes. They just disagree on how that looks. Yeah, so they all want everyone to feel secure. They want everyone to feel safe. They want everyone to have the same privileges and ability to access certain amenities and financial stuff, food, all these basic things that we need. They want the same securities for everyone. We just disagree on what that looks like.
Yeah.
They think safety and love and unity looks like promoting, like the left would be like, we have to support trans rights. The
left usually thinks that the government needs to do everything and provide everything.
Yeah, and then the
right usually thinks that individuals should work for it and that private networks should.
And this is why I like classic
supply those things.
I would probably classify myself as your standard, like a liberal conservative. So I am quite progressive in my thoughts. I think people should have these sorts of rights. I have no problem with certain ideologies, yet I think the government should be not enforcing these sorts of systems on people, and it does come down to the individual to make these choices, which is probably a more conservative view. So there's nothing wrong with me sitting there in the middle.
It's COVID made you more conservative?
I wouldn't.
Have you always been of that mind?
I've always been quite just logic based, like just, hey, let's look a little deeper than the surface level. Like that's what I was very early to call out Obama for the hypocrisy. I always look back, it comes up on my memories, all these Facebook posts when I was younger, calling out the Obama regime,
calling everyone out from your little keyboard at home.
But also wasn't immune to the fact that I still felt like everyone should have their own right and freedom to choose certain ways of living and whatnot. I kind of have always called not called out because I don't want to say I sit there in my little fucking Facebook post. I'm calling you out, holding you accountable. But I would call a spade if I thought something was stupid and illogical or hypocrisy or there's hypocrisy in it. I would say it.
Yeah.
And I think, isn't that the way you should be? Like you shouldn't just line with the side and everything they say or do is correct no matter what. I definitely fell into that trap with the Trump stuff, I reckon. I definitely think I was like, maybe there's a bit of a plan to this. Now I'm like, no, he's not that great. He's not the worst. He's not what everyone.
Were you a 4D chess guy?
Oh, I definitely. Well, no, look, I put up a post a few months ago going, was he playing chess?
Yeah.
And the question is more of a question. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested because I don't pretend to know. And I don't want to look like an idiot and go, he's not. He's a fucking idiot. And then he ends up being like, oh, that was a genius business move, like a strategy. But now I'm also like, maybe he's just a fucking idiot who talks and he's got a platform. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I think anyone who pretends to know is probably the biggest idiot. Mm-hmm. If they think they know it all, they know the plan.
Yeah.
Just like take the information as it comes.
So I'm interested, segue, you're expecting a baby.
Yes.
And you've had quite a few years between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, eight and a half.
So post-COVID, like what's different this time, like in terms of the research that you're doing and
nothing, just going to act.
Advice
I'm going to act on the medical advice that I didn't want to. So, for example, there were certain things that we were uncomfortable with, and I don't want to talk too much.
That's fine.
About that, but yeah, we made decisions that some of them we didn't feel comfortable with, but felt like they were necessary, and you do get scared into certain things and whatnot. I know, and I'll say it now and I'll edit it out later if my partner isn't comfortable with this, but we're not going to be vaccinating our baby boy. And I'm quite comfortable with that choice and from everything that I've read and learned. And again, I might edit this out. I'll talk to Grace after this, whether or not she's comfortable, people know that. But people can judge you for that sort of decision. And that's not that I sit there and regret getting my other daughter vaccinated and whatnot. It's just a part of
it's just with
evolution.
The knowledge that you have now. That's
exactly. It's just not
that you
the
feel
risks.
is right.
Yeah, the risks don't outweigh the benefits in my mind. Certainly in specific areas. That doesn't also mean I don't think we should have vaccines. I think there's a place for them, especially if we can do some more research on them. Why not? Like, what? I got so much kickback, so much pushback for suggesting that why don't we have genetic testing prior to vaccination?
Oh, this is one of my big things.
Why isn't it, if it's especially when we had mandates during COVID?
Dearth of research into what kind of person gets a side effect.
Correct.
And a life-altering side effect.
Exactly.
We've no idea.
Yeah.
So recommending vaccination as a blanket intervention on a genetically diverse population to me seems to be inherently problematic.
Yeah. And so when I was to suggest that and say that we should, if we're going to mandate COVID vaccines, for example, we should also at the same time mandate genetic testing to see if you have a predisposition to certain issues. I was fucking slammed for that. That is promoting anti-vax.
Yeah. Oh, people had to go at you for being anti-vax because they wanted more science. Okay.
I wanted to be so a perfect example. My mum, for example, did not know she had a predisposition to blood clotting and then ended up in and out of hospital, nearly died twice because she had that predisposition. Now, if we had have known that, she wouldn't have got vaccinated and we would have had to found an alternate route and she probably would have been exempt. But we didn't know that because we didn't have the genetic testing, and the genetic testing costs a fucking shitload because it's not subsidised by the government. But the vaccines were, which is ridiculous.
I've actually gotten it's been really helpful to me to do some genetic testing. When I was pregnant, took a methylated folate supplement because of my genetic makeup. I wouldn't be able to process folic acid. Which is so important to know. If I'd just gone on the government website and taken folic acid, I mean, you probably, from what I've read, if either way too much or nowhere near enough folic acid are both problems, but too much folic acid that's not broken down or not methylated it is linked, as far as my reading goes, with tongue ties and neurodevelopmental issues, be that ADHD or autism spectrum.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I were taking folic acid just based off government recommendations, my body would just be like stacking up with it, and as would Poppy's, because I can't really break it down very well. So simple little thing like that. I took, obviously babies need folate, so folic acid methylates into folate. I could be butchering the scientific language here, so bear with me, but the gist is there.
Yeah.
So I took the methylated folate instead. And I guess like it just really confirmed for me or really brought home to me how blanket recommendations can be very harmful if somebody whose genetic terrain isn't, like if someone's not aware or doesn't have that knowledge of that blanket recommendation might apply to most people but not to them, can actually be really harmful.
Yeah. But they're obviously best. I don't want to go so far as to say it's a conspiracy. I think it's a thing where like maybe the government guidelines there, it's a greater good for the broad population. Broadly speaking, they see a benefit to this, and this. But that doesn't mean in a subject pool of billions of people in such a medically and biodiverse population, there's not going to be different reactions with a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like, I would assume that the intentions are good. I wouldn't really imagine that they're not good. But
or is it the inertia thing that you were talking about?
Yeah, I just feel like we might be due for a rethinking, because at the moment, as you say, to access the information, like what is my genetic makeup? What are my strengths? What are my weak points? That's costly, and so it's only people with money who can get that information. So there's an equity issue there, Cam.
Yeah, well, if you're going to, and this is the thing, if you're going to subsidise that sort of stuff, why not subsidise that at least to make it maybe more cost effective for people to go, look, I'm very interested in checking up my genetic makeup, my child's genetic makeup before I make any medical decisions to make sure I'm not endangering them and having a reaction.
Yeah, well, that's something that I was very interested in then for Poppy, my little girl. You know, my partner's constitution
is that Poppy is her name?
Poppy.
Oh, that's fucking, I love that.
Poppy Joy. Joy is my 95-year-old grandmother.
Oh, that's so nice. Awesome.
Actually, really cool story about she chose her name. Do you want to hear the story?
Oh, go, yeah.
So this will either make you believe in God or think that we've got a screw loose. But we did our
either way.
we did our name lists, and I had Poppy was on my list and a few others, and then Ryan had a list of names that I didn't like a single one, and he didn't like any of mine. So we had no crossover. I thought, oh well, we've got months to go. It'll work out. Like I'm not too worried, but I'm definitely not doing any of his names. And then he doesn't really dream, and then he had a dream. She came to him in a dream, and she's sitting in the back seat of the car, apparently just babbling away. And then she said, "Daddy, I just want you to know that my name is Poppy." And he woke up. And he said, whoa, she came, she told me her name's Poppy. It's got to be Poppy. And I was like, yes, because that was on my list. And that's how I knew that he wasn't tricking me, that it was real, because it wasn't on his list. It was on my list.
It's a beautiful name. I love it.
Yeah. And he was just really, like a couple of weeks later, he was telling everyone, oh, yeah, her name's Poppy. And I was like, oh, have we decided? Like, are you sure? Do you want to wait until she comes out and just check that she suits it? And he said, babe, she told me.
Yeah. I love that.
So, yeah.
That's so good. I don't know, we're struggling with names.
Okay.
We've got 2 or 3 that we're like, yep, we like these.
He might come out and you'll just be like, oh, that's a...
Well, I don't know how we're going to do it, but every now and then we keep changing.
Yeah.
Like I was like calling him by that name.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later calling him by another name.
Well, we had that. Ryan was calling her all sorts of things, and I just didn't like any of them, but I was like, whatever. He changed his mind.
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do, but Yeah. Where were we going with that? I don't know prior to that.
Names, believing in
Oh,
God.
yeah, the researching for children.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, having a baby's made me realize how people consume information because I am used to sitting at a desk having time. Like if I see a news thing on a study, I click through and I read the study.
Yeah.
You know, and...
Yeah, you won't just take it on face value.
No.
You'll go deep.
Yeah,
Good.
always. Like I wouldn't post about a study without reading it. And now with a baby, I'm like, wow, this is how the world consumes news. I'm going to have to keep this in mind when I come back to work because like it's very phone based. I'm never at a desktop at the moment.
Yep.
Like I'm on the move constantly. It's fragmentary. Like it's fragmented. I don't have many minutes together.
Yeah.
So I take things in tiny snippets. I'm consuming a lot more video and audio because we're on the move and I can't look at a screen because if Poppy sees me looking at the screen, she wants to eat it. So anytime I'm looking at it, it's like Poppy's in on it.
Yeah.
So I know that not the whole world doesn't have babies, but my point is like not sitting at a desktop all day and living a busy life, and then imagine someone with 3 kids or school drop-offs, pickups, blah blah blah.
Even just like a single person with work and responsibilities and bills to pay and whatnot. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
So
people take in their information in a very different way.
Yeah, and then I get to the end of the day and I'm just smashed, and I've like bookmarked all these things I thought I was going to read, but I don't have the bandwidth for it, which is an unfamiliar feeling to me because generally, I could take a lot of heavy content in a day, but now that my day is so full of other stuff, I get to the end of the day and I actually can't take it in. Like I read the same paragraph 3 times and then just it's not happening. And so it's got me thinking about how like it actually really is hard to be informed past the headlines if it's not a thing that you are particularly invested in or do as a job. And how challenging that must be for people to be across the issues when you really have to trust that what you're reading in the headlines is true. Yeah. Like I totally understand why people didn't delve into the COVID stuff and they just believed what it said in the news and what the government said. Because if you're busy and you're just saying, oh, a study said this, and they don't know the study was stacked or, that actually – like the Pfizer trials, they had a higher rate of, I think it was cardiac arrests, or I'm going to say cardiac issues in the vaccinated arm, more equal or more deaths once you actually caught up on they didn't submit that data to the FDA, but once you actually caught up, like they filed all their late documents, like actually equal or more deaths in the vaccinated arm. I forget the numbers. So people aren't going to know any of that because they don't have time to read and anyway, it's impressed on me the importance of video and audio that I hadn't given any attention to because it's just not my thing. Like I'm a writer. So that's something I'm going to have to do. Well, I want to do differently when I come back. And also
it's hard, hey?
It's hard to do it all if you're a one person.
Well, I mean, as in like the headlines, for example. It's the same with a clip.
Be across it,
to be with a clip. Like I find it really difficult because I don't want to keep it. If I put up a clip that's 7 minutes long with all the nuance of a conversation that shows you the pros and cons, and
cut it up,
it doesn't work. It'll get 10 views, and you don't get what the information out there that you really wanted.
I think what we have to do as people who share information is package the same thing up in lots of different ways so that people can consume at the level that they're able to. So have the 30-second clip, the 7-minute clip for people who then want to click through to the YouTube, and then the essay. And we just have to be I'm thinking about how can I communicate the information in the shortest possible time, most succinct. I guess you would have your longer form essays, but to do them less often. The other thing is people who are publishing every day, I can't keep up with it and I don't read them anymore. People who published once or twice a week, I read because I'm interested. People like Matt Taibbi, who I've been reading forever, I will always make the time to read it. And so I think quality over quantity in this sort of information avalanche environment is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm definitely battling with that
Yeah.
myself and the way we communicate that stuff.
Yeah, there's just so much to be across as a consumer. I think too, something that the independent media world, particularly the citizen journalism world, has not been good at is like coming out with the key points at the top to tell people whether they want to read on or not. Like sometimes you just have to read through hundreds and hundreds of words of waffle to get to what they're trying to say. So I think there's going to be like citizen journalists probably need to really step up in refining their ability to say what they mean really fast at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to be respectful of people's time.
Yeah.
Which is so precious.
Yeah.
And that's something obviously that corporate media is really good at. Like ABC, I love how they do the summary at the top. And I'm like, okay, these are the 3 points. Do I want to read on, or am I happy with those 3 points?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And am I going to invest the next 5 minutes based off that to read through?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I mean, I am interested to see how the current situation escalates or how it's framed for like the Israeli president coming over.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I mean, the guy who got punched and beaten up.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I can't remember it exactly, but this guy would have been, I guess, a pro-Palestine.
I'm guessing, yeah.
And to come out and
he might characterize himself as anti-genocide. Like that's the language of that protesters are using to describe themselves.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but that's getting called.
Yeah.
Therefore,
and to call out the
anti-Semitic.
police for their actions is somehow. I don't know.
I haven't seen the media's wrap up of that yet. I've only seen it on social media, saw the video, and I thought, oh, well, that looks familiar. You know, Matt, I can't remember his last name, but he was one of the guys who got shot with a rubber bullet during COVID, and it was peaceful. He had his hands up. He was, you know, he was not doing anything aggressive, just got shot and had like serious injury from that. And he's just one of multiple people who got treated in that way. People got broken hand. I think Michael from Cafe locked out, got a broken hand from the police manhandling. So, you know, we've seen it all before. It's just that nobody cared when it was happening to the, you know, quote unquote anti-vaxxers.
Or the other side, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, hopefully people will be realizing that this is actually, this is not just something that happened once a while ago to people no one cares about. Like this is actually a recurring issue.
Yeah. What, what details have you looked into with regards to the hate speech laws, and what concerns you the most with that? Because that's something there's nuance still to be had with those.
Yeah, so I'm part of a project at the moment that's cataloguing the hate speech laws in Australia because so we've got state and then we've got federal. So at the federal level, there's the civil law, which is the anti-discrimination, racial vilification. Or actually, is it racial? It's the RDA, racial and discrimination. Oh, I can't remember. Whatever. Anyway, that's civil law. So that's the one that Andrew Bolt, for example, was pinged under when he said that some light-skinned Aboriginals was sort of just faking it to get benefits or something like. And he was taken to task in court over that. But then there's the latest round that went through, I think last year federally, were upping the ante for criminal prosecutions for, you know, if you display certain symbols or I can't remember the specifics. And then now this year we've had further, the federal laws have gone further in,
they've lowered the threshold of what is considered.
Yeah, I think it's that the intelligence can prescribe, or the Minister for Home Affairs can designate who is a hate group, and then if you're affiliated with that hate group or associated in any way, they can come after you criminally, like prosecute you.
What do you know? What
preachers?
Do you know what the I guess the classification or the details of what is considered a hate group? Do they have to be preaching for someone's?
Well, that's a separate
violence?
offense, I think. So preaching. Inciting preaching
violence.
Hate.
Well, that was already a thing, inciting violence.
Yeah, but this is so. Previously, I think if you were incitement was related to I just forget the specifics of it.
Direct call to action of violence and
it was to do with like constitutional offences and threats to national security, whereas it's broader now. It's like preaching hate, like it's more broad.
but then preaching hate is based on fear.
So
from
previously,
memory.
I don't think you could have been prosecuted for preaching from a pulpit that think of just something heinous like Jews are vermin and God calls us to stamp out all vermin or something like that. Like if you could not be prosecuted for that before.
Okay.
My understanding is that you probably could for something like that. That's not an example used in any of the legislation, but I'm just based off what I've read. But then we've got state laws, which are actually more that the state laws actually go further. So Victoria, New South Wales, WA, Queensland, I think all have quite strict laws about what you can and can't say. Like this guy who just got one of the first, I think, criminal prosecution in Victoria for, or was it in New South Wales? Yeah, I actually can't remember. But one of those states, a guy's just been prosecuted for calling for a trans genocide on social media.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, and again,
he's the one who had all the mental issues and is an NDIS recipient and whatnot. So,
at what point do you take in those sorts of issues as well?
What do you mean?
That this person is potentially just not of sound mind.
Yeah. Well, I think
and that
he
doesn't
was
excuse that sort of call. Like that's absurd.
Well, I think he was sentenced to community service or something like that. So he didn't go to prison over it, and I would presume that came into But so like, there's when the first anti-discrimination laws came in, I think in the 70s, it was updated. So initially, it was just like structural discrimination. It was like you can't deny women a job at a steelworks just because they're women, and you can't deny someone housing because of the color of their skin and that kind of thing. And then in the 90s, this section was added where you can't severely ridicule or speak poorly about. I can't remember the specific language, but severe ridicule was one of the things you can no longer do in a discriminatory fashion, like
based on what? Religion, sex, race, just race.
Race, maybe religion. I don't remember. But
sex,
that
gender, potentially, but
it wouldn't have been gender in the 90s because it was a core group of attributes.
Yeah. Okay.
But that group. So what's happened over time is that has moved from civil law into now this has been criminalized, the severe ridicule aspect.
Yep.
And that the protected attributes are being ever expanded. And that's why so one thing that didn't go through in the latest round of federal hate speech laws was this highly controversial racial vilification provision, which was going to, at the federal level, criminalize severe, like it was a hypothetical test of like if you said something and in a hypothetical representative person of the target group might have felt intimidated by that.
Fear,
So you didn't actually have to actually intimidate a real person. It was like if a reasonable hypothetical person from that group that you were speaking about, if a judge determines that they might have felt intimidated, then you could criminally be liable. So that was voted down, or that was removed because the Conservatives refused to support it. But the Greens, funnily enough, they just wanted it to apply to more groups.
Yeah.
For them, they were like, why should it just apply to race? It should apply to all our favourite groups.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that one didn't go through because that was just wildly subjective.
Yeah, so they removed a little bit of it, but then just...
So that provision was removed altogether.
Yeah.
And that was actually, that was controversial then that it got removed too, because that was one of the things that was recommended by Gillian Siegel, the anti-Semitism envoy, in her report last year after that spate of all the anti-Semitic violent attacks that were happening around Sydney and Melbourne. and but it didn't go through because it was unworkable.
Yeah.
Well, it turned us into the UK, like just getting arrested for tweets.
Yeah. Well, is it still at that point though? Because the groups can be considered anything, and also removing procedural fairness has been an issue that I see.
Yeah. So I think it's not good.
Yeah.
So the coalition made a big deal about, or the Liberals made a big deal about how they did sort of put some safeguards in, like the minister has to consult with the leader of the opposition, because the concern is that the government will outlaw opposition. That's the concern.
Yeah.
And the government's tried to do that in the past. They've tried to ban communist parties.
Yeah.
They've tried to.
Well, you see that in the Ukraine.
Yeah. And so we can't really imagine people doing it now, but once it's law,
Yeah.
you know, and like I said, Australian governments have tried to do that before. So the coalition sort of put this sort of safeguard in place, but actually they don't have to get the opposition's permission. They just have to brief the opposition.
Yeah.
So it's not really going to provide much comfort.
Yeah.
It's not a good. I don't think it's a good.
No, I don't.
I just.
Does anyone think it's good except for Albanese?
I
mean, I'm sure there are a few people that are.
So I understand why there's. I mean, obviously, Jews are not a monolith, but I understand why Jewish groups are wanting something to be done, because the idea of a racially targeted massacre like that is just frightening, and I personally can't imagine what that would feel like to be part of that group.
Yeah.
And wondering, is it going to happen again? And knowing that the government didn't stop it.
Yeah.
But it just seems like, per usual, the diagnosis of what caused the problem is incorrect, and then the Band-Aid that's getting put on is not really going to do anything. So I guess we'll know when they finish the Royal Commission into that incident. And it begs the question, why didn't you wait till the Royal Commission before you started putting things into law? And actually, I noticed something in the rhetoric of Chris Minns. So Chris Minns, for people who don't know, is the Premier of New South Wales. Premier is like our governor. And Michelle Rowland is our Attorney General. They both use language to the effect that we're legislating tougher hate speech laws to send a message. They kept using this phrase, send a message that this behaviour is not okay. And I was really interested in that. It's like they see legislation as a public messaging tool. Don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah. You can't legislate social cohesion.
Well, yeah, you could probably legislate to support it, but I don't know that you can force. Well, I know you can't force it into being through, but they're literally thinking of legislation in terms of PR and marketing is what I kind of clocked from this constant use of that kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, that's a really unserious way to approach something as important as the law of the land.
Yeah.
They kept saying this legislation is to send a message.
Yeah, not to actually
this
enforce.
This behaviour is not okay. It sounded like, when you were at school and it was like a campaign against litter bugs, or they're treating it like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's just a poor choice of phrasing and words.
But they both keep using that same phraseology over and over. So it's
instead of sending a message
about it.
Yeah, do something about it instead.
Well, yeah, I just thought like, okay, so legislation as a PR tool seems to be how they're thinking about this really important job of.
And well, they're also like these knee-jerk reactions with legislation that they put in place have almost pointed at the people, law-abiding citizens, good people, as they're part of the problem. They're the ones we need to police. We need to police your speech because you've created this situation where there is a very divisive.
You're not cohesive enough,
yes,
plebs.
It's exactly. Instead of potentially acknowledging their own part in creating an environment that has resulted in such a turbulent, divisive society.
Well, yes, I agree with that. I mean, I found Mark McGowan, our previous Premier, and the current one here in Western Australia extraordinarily divisive.
Yeah, well, they slander anyone who disagrees with their ideas as a a racist or a misogynist or an anti-vaxxer instead of, oh, I should listen to the people that I've been elected to represent and at least address their issues, not just slander them with this one label of racist because they've got an issue with the immigration policy that you're implementing. That, again, it's like that's the same as silencing people because they feel unheard. And again, they're pushed in the extremes of both directions and then they're radicalized and then they do stupid shit like we've seen.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Just you don't have to silence or actually censor them. Just don't listen and disregard them. That's the exact same thing.
So do you think that, say, preachers should be able to preach violence from their pulpit or ideology that supports violence? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not across all religions and what they preach, but anyone who calls to violence, that should not be allowed.
The guys who obviously did the Bondi killing were ISIS affiliated to the best of my knowledge. So,
and this is what are we doing in regards to allowing that sort of stuff to be preached? And then the argument is, I guess, and this has to be a nuanced conversation, but if there's an ideology that or a religion that suggests that this is what we want to see happen, is that a blanket thing across the whole?
Well, it raises the question, like, can you have there's a Substacker called Alison Beveridge who I like and follow. She used the term infinity multiculturalism. Can you have infinity multiculturalism, or do you have to say, our national identity is broadly speaking these are our norms, and anything that's antithetical to that either can't be here or we can't tolerate it or we're going to deport it.
Well, that doesn't sound too outrageous.
No, and I would have, again, being reformed woke, I never really imagined that there were any limits to multiculturalism until, it was just me 10 years ago. I would have just been like, we just got to be tolerant and we'll have a pluralistic society. And I do believe in a pluralistic democracy. Like, obviously, I'm for free speech. I'm for having people of all stripes being able to communicate back and forth. But is there a limit on that? Do we say, oh, well, being Australian means something. It means X, Y, Z.
To suggest and have a conversation about whether or not this is actually something that needs to be looked at. That's not a racist thought that you'd be disregarded by the Premier of WA for suggesting otherwise. Yeah,
because maybe there's a question like how much social cohesion can you have in a society that's actually a hot pot of
different beliefs and
different belief systems and value systems that are directly clashing.
Correct. And that we can be tolerant of each other. There's nothing wrong. Like this is a conversation where we're not suggesting, you are a Muslim or you are a Jewish person or you are a Christian person and I am none of them. Doesn't mean I don't tolerate and respect your freedom to be a part of those religions.
So, but should someone be able to associate with ISIS and go
again, these are questions that I think need to be discussed. And that's not it's not like that's...
Regardless of all of this, they should have picked it up. Like, this guy had been on an ASIO watch list. He was known to be affiliated with ISIS.
Yeah.
He travelled to a terrorism training hotspot in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Like months before they did this.
Yeah.
His dad, who's, also affiliated, to the best of my knowledge, with this ideology, had guns. And then, we're clamping down on speech. Speech wasn't the problem there, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what their knee-jerk reaction is to blame the citizens for creating an environment that resulted in that tragedy instead of maybe they should look at implementing the laws that they have in place. That
we already have. And that's what I'm interested to see, if the Royal Commission will actually be frank on that.
But, I feel like those sorts of... I like your idea of inertia, and I see it in so many areas is that sometimes that things take on so much speed and power that it is hard to alter the course and correction. Feminism's a perfect example. Let's move away from religion and race and that sort of stuff. And we've sort of half chatted about it, but like feminism at its roots, I think had some very genuine, innocent.
Well, the suffragettes. No one's going to be annoyed at the suffragettes for getting women in the vote, are they?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So
quite right. Well done, ladies.
Yeah, correct. Equal rights. When it starts to go in the direction it has gone, it can become. It feels like detrimental to their own cause.
Well, I feel like that's a case of unchecked progressivism. So I feel like you need left and right, and you need checks.
Yeah.
They need to check each other. You can't, if we just have one or the other, they'll just go too far.
Yeah, you need to be able to observe both sides.
Well, so progressivism, if it's unchecked, like if you don't conserve any roots to any tradition, if you just keep progressing, I think we see the pitfalls of that in in what's happened in feminism, where we've gone from suffragettes getting the vote to women are allowed to apply for a credit card in their own name. They can get a business loan without a man signing it off.
Yeah.
Great. I'm thrilled about that. You know, you can work if you want to. You know, daddy can be at home with the kids if he wants to.
Yeah.
Great. We've all got more choice. Happy. And then we had Sex in the City, which was sort of like, and this was my generation, like you can have sex like a man, like just casual sex, sleep with whoever you want, don't get emotionally attached. We had obviously before that the sexual revolution with birth control, where women just have a lot more choice in general and don't take on all the risk from sexual interactions the way that we used to.
Yeah.
And the messaging that I certainly received, I was born in 1983, so grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, the music I listened to was basically all the ways that men were shit and all the ways in which I don't need a man. The messaging I received at school was entirely career focused. Never occurred to me to make space in my life for family or children. It was sort of like that would just be appended on, like that would be an afterthought. Yeah. Because I think we were coming up in a world where it was like women can finally be career women and lean in.
Yeah.
You know, women are finally going to hit the C-suite. And so there wasn't, for me, and I'm just talking about the messaging I received. So, and you know, growing up in Western Australia, you know, educated, my friends are educated, we all sort of just got this messaging, I guess. And then you get to, I mean, for me, I got to 40 and I just thought I didn't even want kids. I always thought I didn't want kids because I also internalized some stuff like at a single mum because my parents divorced, and I observed that, you know, for all of our feminism wins, that ultimately the women do end up doing the lion's share of looking after the kids, and the men seem to just, this was my observation as a 9-year-old, you know, 8-9-year-old, that men seem to just go on and marry again and just live their lives, but the women seem to get quite left behind and struggle through. And I think I formed the belief somewhere along the line that kids were a liability.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So if you want to have an even playing field with men, don't have kids. Yeah. So, yeah, I just fully swallowed it all. And I didn't even know, it was like the fish in water. I didn't know I was swimming in this and absorbing it all. And then I got to my mid to late 30s and just was really unsatisfied with the dating scene. I felt like where are all the good guys? Where are all the good guys? Like, guys just want to hook up. They all seem to be like emotional children, like, you know. And
because that was also the culture sold to us as young men growing up. Go around, hook up, do those sorts of things, which it seems to be a common thing. And
I observed confusion amongst men of like how to treat women, like thinking that going Dutch on a date was progressive. And I'm like, no, I actually really want you to, I want to be taken out. You know, I found it, maybe intellectually I thought, yeah, we'll all be equal, but like it was unsatisfying. Yeah. And then having a lot of unsatisfying interactions and just feeling like men didn't know how to be men, which I think has been partly the result of a men sort of being emasculated and women, you know, like I've seen women get offended when men open doors for them, or, you know, men hit on them out and about and they get offended and pissed off about it. And I'm like, well, do you ever want to be asked out? Like, under what circumstances would you accept an invitation out?
Yeah.
Like, if they're going to put them, I agree. Like, I don't want to be catcalled as I walk down the road, but I'm just talking about like women responding quite aggressively in a negative way to men putting themselves out there.
Yeah. Which is scary enough as it is,
Right,
because you
exactly.
don't know what the reaction is going to be.
Yeah. And I said to my friends, like around about mid-30s, I started saying a lot like, I feel like feminism's fucked us, you know? Like, I just feel like there's a lot of my friends were single or just endlessly dating to try to find a connection. And like, I mean, obviously a lot of people did get married and have kids and whatever. And even at that point, I still didn't particularly want kids, but I did want companionship. And I just felt like this is really unsatisfying. And I feel like the men don't know how to be men. The women are overly muscular in terms of, you know, like we're so competent that we almost can't tolerate the weakness of, like, where men are just not stepping up.
Frailty,
the frailty of in certain areas. And I became aware that maybe some of that, I don't think it's a bad thing ever to be competent, but like just that sort of, there's nothing wrong with being assertive, but I just felt like as myself and some of my peers had very masculine energy, like from trying to make it in the world. Yeah. And that's totally understandable that we maybe overdeveloped that part of ourselves and had not relaxed into the feminine. And you kind of can't afford to relax into the feminine if there's not a masculine energy counterweight as well. So some of it was by necessity, because if you're moving through the world single, you actually need to have some of that. Yeah,
because the feminist movement went so far to the point where it was not that we want equal rights. It like was we are equal.
Well, and men are unnecessary. Yeah, well, we don't even need you fuckers.
Which is, well, how emasculating is that? But also it's not, that's not the case. Like, men and women are not equal. They are equally as important as each other. But
well,
they are
I think we're an equal value, but we're not the same.
Exactly.
So, and so getting spiritual, I went, delved into Tantra a bit and was interested in the philosophy of the masculine and the feminine, and that often, crazily enough, men will embody more masculine than feminine energy often. And often women will embody more feminine energy, as it turns out. And I, through Tantra, explored more like what are the characteristics of those energies, and was able to identify, oh wow, I'm actually like quite masculine in my energy, and I would like to just relax a bit more into my feminine. And then that got me reflecting, because I was brought up Christian and had quite a thorough knowledge of the Bible. And there's that verse that everyone hates: women, submit to your husbands, husbands, lay down your life for your wife. When I did this, when I explored Tantra more, I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because it's describing what Tantra describes about the masculine and the feminine energy. Like feminine leans into and dovetails with the masculine in Tantra. And again, forgive me, Tantra experts, if I'm misinterpreting this, but this was my understanding of it, was the masculine's a leading energy, but it's leading in total service to the feminine. So
it's the yin and the yang almost.
Yeah, the feminine energy only submits, people hate that word, but like only acquiesces to the masculine when the masculine is in total service to the feminine. And that's a package deal. It's not like you get to be a dick and just tell her what to do. You know, and I just thought, oh, well, that's so interesting that, like, if you were to read that part of the Bible and think of it in terms of energetics, well, Tantra teaches exactly the same thing. Yeah. Wow. So anyway, I just went on that journey and ended up when I was 40, and I'd been with my current partner. Like, I'm going to switch soon. I'm not going to switch. No. But when I'd been with my partner a couple of years, and I hit 40, and I thought, is this whole like not having kids thing because that's what I want, or is this my condition? Like, am I making this decision out of fear or love? Like, is this a fear-based thing, or is this because it's what I actually want? And I didn't really know the answer, but my partner Ryan always has this thing. He says, "Follow the breadcrumbs." So I just had a lot of women who had babies later in life suddenly just telling me their stories, which was weird, just like, oh, and I'm so glad I had my child. And I thought that's interesting. And then Ryan's dad died, I don't know, like just before we got pregnant. So Ryan's dad died, and I had this profound sense all of a sudden that none of it made sense unless it was a circle. Like him dying didn't make any sense unless it just kept going on. Yeah. And I couldn't explain why I had that sense. And then, but it was enough to make me go like, oh, I need to get a clear on this. So we actually prayed. We just said, God, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to have a kid. I don't know if I don't. Can you just decide, and we'll just not worry about it. We'll never think about it. We're not going to try to. We're not going to try not to. And then literally the next month, little Poppy was conceived, and it just felt like the timing of it felt like I couldn't think of it any other way than to say she's 100% meant to be here. Yeah. We're 100% meant to have this experience of being her parents. And that's sort of like closing the loop there on the feminism story is like, I feel like I'm the product of feminism gone too far, was able to sort of catch it before my opportunity to experience some of these things closed off, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think I've been unlearning a lot of stuff. I wish I'd written the book on this 5 years ago instead of Louise Perry with because she's written this book about how the sexual revolution has disserviced women, and I'm like, damn it, I was saying all that. And I just think like probably women my age are where it's like I've got friends who had the same realizations as me around the same time, and not everyone has been able to like find that person or have that baby or whatever, and not that you need that. I think I would have been perfectly happy regardless, because I think you're as happy as you decide to be.
Or even self-sabotage existing relationships because they've fallen into those ideas.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
And like even some of these women who've come out of the feminism, like who've said, okay, that's gone too far. I'm actually going to walk it back a bit and reclaim some of that, some of those traditional values. And I'm not going to be like a trad wife, but I'm going to have, I'm just going to pull back a bit on this.
Sensible.
And some of those girls, like they've done good work, but now they need the guys who've done the same, and that can be hard.
I think it's beautiful to celebrate the differences between men and women and what they bring to a certain situation, whether or not it is the masculine and feminine energy or their roles within the dynamic of a family. There are things that women are better at than men, and men are better at than women. Just naturally, broadly speaking, that is not for everyone. There are outliers, but that's beautiful. And to have that dynamic within a family. Now, there are single parents who don't have a choice sometimes, and that's what it is. And they have to have the ability to be able to have the masculine and feminine energy as well as the roles. And that's also beautiful.
That's a big task.
It is a very tough task. So to demonize that women don't need men or the other way around I think that's doing a disservice to the family dynamic, our kids, our future, and the way we all function together, whether or not that's in a family dynamic or even in a work dynamic, a society. I think us all understanding the beauty, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, the way they dovetail each other, that is something to be celebrated, to be embraced, and I think we can all learn something from that. And yes, feminism had its place. It probably went too far, but I'm glad to see it's coming back, where women are taking their own power back and coming back to being okay with embracing the idea of being a mother and being the nurturing, beautiful nature that a mother can have. I have no problem being that for my daughter, but I also have no problem being that masculine energy for my daughter as well. And I think that's all you can do.
The biology dictates it too. Like we're obviously breastfeeding Poppy, so I'm at home and Ryan's going to work at the moment. And, you know, I'd happily, actually, would I? No, I want to be at home with her.
Yeah.
And because there's that oxytocin bond, you know, from feeding. So I think there's nothing like having a baby to drive home biological reality and how that does impact on gender roles. So interestingly, I remember being at uni, I just did an anthropology unit, and we did I just remember learning in part of like the theory that gender is a construct and it's just a social role and it's all constructed. And I remember learning that as just a theory. And we had a book of theories. We did queer theory. We did all these theories. And I was like, oh, yeah, interesting theory. I mean, obviously some gender roles are biologically determined because men can't breastfeed.
Yes.
And, well, although some people would do that, but, you know, like just where I'm going with that is having a baby will drive home that gender roles are sure, partially socially constructed, absolutely. Yep. But definitely there's a biological factor there as well. Like there's a reason I'm at home with Poppy and Ryan goes to work right now, and that reason is literally milk.
Yeah.
You can't make it.
Yeah. Now there's definitely gender roles but the social, there is a social construct that has created specific areas where it's probably elevated certain areas, but
I think it's just both.
Yes, it's a combo of both. Yeah. Again, nuanced conversation. It's not one fucking you're wrong, you're right. Like I think this is why having a bit of dialogue between, in this case, genders, or even the same, like women within the same, obviously within the same gender, but women having across the aisles having a conversation. Don't you understand that there's this and this and this? And I'm also conscious of your time, and I know you have to go because speaking of child, got to go pick up child. I have to get home and do the same. But this has been good. I like this. We need to have more conversations. I need to have you come on a bit more often. But thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate that. Anything you want to plug before we finish up? Are you getting back into some more Substack writing?
I will, and it's coming up. I keep thinking I'm going to go back, and then I go,
take your time. Take your time.
So my Substack is called Dystopian Down Under. People can find it. Just search my name, Rebekah Barnett, or Dystopian Down Under. I am posting on Instagram quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I've seen a bit.
Dystopian Down Under. I'm just enjoying shit posting and sort of having that.
You're part of the problem.
Yeah. I almost never use X, but I am on there as well. If you just search my name, it's Rebekah with a K. Okay, just fun fact. When I was individuating as a teenager, there were 7 Rebeccas in my class, and we were all the same spelling, the double CA.
Yep.
And my mum had said something like, "Oh, I wanted to do your spelling KAH, but for reasons we didn't." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to change it." Yep. So actually, the spelling of my name is Rebekah. I changed it by deed poll when I was like 15 or something to be different. Yeah, because I just couldn't tolerate being the same as the other 6 Rebeccas, and then I have spent the rest of my life spelling my name. That was the biggest mistake. So I just, would really encourage any teenagers listening, like, just individuate in ways that are not lasting. Think about how, you're going to have to spell that out for the rest of your life. You're going to have to wear that image for the rest of your life, whatever. Although I think you can scrub tattoos off, but yeah, anyway, so if you search my name, it'll come up on socials. And I will be back on Substack probably in a few months.
Awesome. Yeah, I love your writing. It's
Thank
good.
you.
Keeps me
I'm so looking forward to getting back into it. My brain went fully offline, but
baby brain is real. My partner's been telling me. She's just losing, like doesn't know where she is in a conversation halfway through. And go, oh no, what was I talking about?
Yeah, it's really it's quite disconcerting when it first starts happening. But I mean, my brain was fully offline until she was about 3 months old, and now I'm really excited to get back into it. But the space has just got to be there, so we'll make that.
Very good. I loved this episode. Bloody good.
Thanks.
I think the line "feminism has Has feminism fucked us? I might even title it this. That'll get people listening. But, mate, that's an awesome episode. Really love that. And definitely have you back on again soon.
Thanks.
I've got nothing to plug. I'm going to be in New Zealand soon, so I'm just going to chill. I'm doing a show next week down in Freo at Port City on the Wednesday night. But aside from that, thanks, listeners. And, we'll see you next week.
Bye.